Okay, we are live here. Anyway, this is Greg. Welcome to another Nerd Stalker interview. Good morning. This is Greg Valoria, aka Social Greg on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network. Today, we're pleased to talk with Raju Reddy. He's currently an advisor to the chairman at Hitachi ITSC, and he's a co-convener about the upcoming TiECon, which is to be held here at Santa Clara Convention Center and in May. And we'll let Raji talk a little bit more about that. So a little bit about TI, or the India's Entrepreneur. It's the largest entrepreneurial network with over 12,000 members worldwide and 60 chapters. And its mission for entrepreneurs include mentoring, networking, education, incubating, and funding opportunities for entrepreneurs. So anyway, good morning, Raju, and thanks for joining us here on Nerd Soccer Live from the Silicon Valley, right?
Good morning, Greg. Yes, delighted to be here. Yes, I'm based in South Bay, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and glad to be with you today. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So tell me about your involvement with TI and how that's evolved over the years. When you're obviously an entrepreneur yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a tech entrepreneur based here in Silicon Valley, and built a company called Sierra Atlantic that grew to be over 2,000 employees, and bought by Hitachi about 5 years ago. And TI and TiECon in many ways were a very important part of my own journey as an entrepreneur. I was a big beneficiary of a key element of TI, which is mentoring. And I was fortunate to have some great mentors early on to help me build my company. A gentleman by the name of Kanwal Rekhi, who is one of the founding members of TI, and still is very active today as a investor and a mentor. And so TI, Greg, has now grown over its last 23 years into the world's largest organization focused exclusively on entrepreneurship. And it is born here in Silicon Valley about 23 years ago. And today we have 63 chapters worldwide. And TiECon, which is coming up next week on May 6th and 7th, Friday and Saturday, all days and all day. And you can look it up, TiECon.org, for more information. And we'd love to have you attend that. We expect to have close to about 5,000 people this year, and several of them coming from outside the US. I think last year we had about 22 or 23 countries represented at TiECon. So, we are expecting about the same or more. And obviously, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, great investors, mentors, corporate executives that will be at TiECon this year locally from right here in the Bay Area.
What do you expect? What would, if a person's attending this for the first time, what would you expect to see at this year's conference?
Sure. So again, there are different reasons why people come to TiECon. Fundamentally, it is, while it is focused on entrepreneurship, there are a lot of people who are at sort of various stages in their career within the industry, and they also come here to just learn about the different key trends. The companies that are going to be really the icons of Silicon Valley 5 or 10 years from now. This is the place to discover them, right? And this is the place to meet and network with people who are creating those kind of companies. So whatever your individual aspirations may be about your career, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or to help somebody out there, mentor them, or invest in one, or just looking for the next career move, or just educating yourself about some really important trends that matter in your professional life. And like with most of these conferences, it's not just what is the conversation that are going up on that are happening on the stage, but the very high quality of people that you end up meeting at this conference, right? 26% of all attendees last year were C level people,
Wow.
CXOs or presidents of some sort. I mean, that's a very high, proportion. Uh,
Absolutely.
and so I mean, that's a very, very unique, sort of a composition of people that you might find at a conference. And as I mentioned, these are not just all right from here in Silicon Valley, but from over 20 countries around the world. And these are all very accomplished individuals. And so it's a place to meet a lot of these people too.
Yeah, I think I hear a lot, Raju, about people who are working in big companies. And now you hear more about people at Google and Facebook at big companies, right? But the IBMs as well as and you worked at a big company called Intel
Yes.
before before you went into entrepreneurship. But I find that step of faith to go into that and go into something new but exciting is tough for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I certainly, was at that stage in my life at one point when I mean, Intel was a great place to work and a fantastic place to learn about sort of building an organization, managing people, and all of that. At the same time, I guess Silicon Valley is one of those places where you so often hear about so many other inspiring stories, and at some point the buck catches up with you. Then the question for me was, how do you best prepare? It is not so much a question about whether I want to be an entrepreneur, but how do you best prepare for that, right? And
Mm.
yeah, and again, I think Silicon Valley is one of those exceptional places where you have an opportunity to meet with so many people that can sort of guide you, mentor you, inspire you in different ways. And like I said earlier, I absolutely believe there's nothing like TiECon. While there are so many other forums and organizations, and we've been doing this for well over 20 years. So we like to think we have also done the best job of innovating and constantly sort of creating a more not only just putting together a best conference, but really a structured way of facilitating these conversations between the attendees and whoever else that they may want to meet at the conference. And I can expand on that a little bit if needed. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, let's shift gears to the entrepreneurs. You have this thing called TIE 50, which I thought was very interesting. And I was following a bunch of the innovation awards that you guys were kind of doing with more energy related or civic related platforms that you were kind of promoting for entrepreneurs. But this TIE 50 is interesting because now you selected about 100 entrepreneurs. It'll get down to this 50. And you might want to tell the audience a little bit about TIE 50.
Sure, sure. So, TIE 50 is about a 8-year-old program, and one of our early charter members, who is actually the incoming president of TIE Silicon Valley, Ram Reddy, he started it about 8 years ago, and it just become a phenomenal success. So we draw, I think, over 2,000 applicants, into that program, and so we are very high qualified, highly qualified judges who sort through those companies and essentially finding the top 50 top companies in different key technology areas of focus. And then out of that over 2000, we filter it down to about 100, the TIE 50 finalists. And just a day before the conference is when they actually identify the top 50. And many of these companies in the past have actually gone on to create, raise significant amount of capital, and some of them have gone on to exit well over $1 billion. So
Wow.
these might be today's early stage companies. And so now that we have 7-8 years under our belt, we have evidence that this is a fantastic program in its ability to identify and also facilitate connections with these entrepreneurs, right? That's what TiECon is about. And many cases, the TiE ecosystem helps nurture these startups into great companies. As I mentioned, some of them have gone on to exit well beyond $1 billion, either being acquired or a public offering. Yeah.
That's incredible.
So
I mean, it's basically the same thing that you kind of went through, 20 something years ago when you started your company, right? Is looking for those mentors, right?
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
So, so
And like I said earlier, I was a big beneficiary of this ecosystem. Go ahead.
wow. Hey, can you talk a little bit about, some of the things that, innovations that you're seeing that are really kind of key things for some of these 50 entrepreneurs to kind of focus on, from your standpoint? You've followed many entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you mentored millions of entrepreneurs, thousands of entrepreneurs yourself. What do you see in this today's climate of something that's kind of something that people might consider getting into if they were an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So one, I mean, we actually structured the conference into four main tracks, and one is on the cloud computing, and clearly there's a huge growth and opportunity there. I think Amazon just reported its numbers yesterday after it after the market closed, and most of that growth came from the cloud business. And then one on the data analytics, how we keep hearing about how data big data changes so many different fields, and so we're exploring that. And the third one is the increasing role of IoT. I think we are starting to see many companies being funded in that space. It's probably the furthest behind in amongst these three areas in terms of, or you should say, it's still in sort of earlier stage of its growth
Mm.
compared to the other two. But I think you'll see some fascinating, companies up there. And we also have something on trending tech that where we talk about virtual reality and some very interesting things happening in that space, as you know, and machine learning. But the other aspect of, I think, what we are starting to see in the entrepreneur world is just over the last 5 years or so. The Silicon Valley obviously continues to be sort of the uh, center of innovation, no question about it. The leading center, and that is the place that produces some of the truly transforming technologies and companies in the world. And my sense is they'll continue to be the case for the foreseeable future. At the same time, over the last 5 years, I think you're starting to see some great companies and enormous wealth creation through entrepreneurship in places outside the US, right? And certainly you see the rise of so many unicorns, if you can still use that word, in China, and largely driven by the domestic market. But India has been producing some amazing companies. Again, it's the fastest growing market for mobile phones, and there are about 300 million smartphones and growing at about 20-30%. And so you've got companies that are being built for the domestic market, but also at the same time a lot of companies that I believe will be amongst the top global companies of the future, product companies that are starting to come out of India. And Israel historically has been very good, very high density, if you may say so, of entrepreneurial activity, just given the small size of the country, population and area wise. So I think you'll see some of those companies also at this conference. And in fact, TiE50 itself includes some of those companies. So at the same time, Silicon Valley, as I mentioned, continues to be sort of the major, place of this innovation and rapidly changing technologies, and leadership in many ways, for the entrepreneurial world. And so those connections with Silicon Valley are also very important for these entrepreneurs and aspiring, entrepreneurs coming from other parts of the world.
Yeah,
And you'll see all that at TiECon. Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, and you travel around a lot, right? And I think we were talking about this a little bit off air, about, the the global nature of entrepreneurs and not just the local nature anymore in the Silicon Valley, right? I mean, I think a lot of people regard Silicon Valley as a place of innovation where you can share a lot of ideas freely, but those places are also appearing in India, Bangalore, like you said, and other places around the globe, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And specifically, with respect to India, just to share a few facts, last year there was about $5 billion of venture money that went into startups in India, and that's up from about 1.8 billion the year before. So just think about it. I mean, that is a huge, shift and a huge spike. And so a lot of this, of course, is happening in the city of Bangalore, which most of us may have heard about, but also other cities like Hyderabad is attracting some of the top companies, Uber, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft. All of them are announced or already have, some of the largest development centers outside the home base in Hyderabad. So and Delhi. So there's a good bit of activity happening in some of the major tech centers in India. Well, Bangalore perhaps is the closest that you can find to Silicon Valley in many ways. Yeah.
Wow, that's excellent. Well, I know you have some things to do in a little bit here, but so I'll let you get going. But I appreciate your time, Raju. So, can you tell the people who are listening how they could get to TiECon and attend?
Absolutely. So please look up TiECon.org, and you'll find all the information that you'll need. It is a 2-day conference, all day Friday and all day Saturday. It's just a fantastic place to network with some great people and learn and hopefully be inspired and all leading to a great sort of you know. Progress in your career, whatever your dreams and aspirations may be with respect to your professional career. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, anyway, yeah, thanks again for joining us. That was Raju Reddy, the co-convener or co-chair of the 2016 TiECon, which is coming up again, like you said, May 6th and 7th, Friday, Saturday, in the Silicon Valley, Santa Clara Convention Center specifically. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Greg Gloria, AQ Social Greg on Twitter for the Nerd Soccer Media Network, where we believe in tech, startups, design, and you. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and be careful out there. Thanks again, Raju. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Greg.